Do 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 do. Do do do. Hello there. How you doing, Frog? Thanks for coming down. How's your Sunday evening then? Or Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, depending where you are. Good, good. Glad to hear it. Last night's stream of painting a world eater got me in the mood to finish painting some more white and blue marines, so I grabbed these off of the shelf and decided to get on with them. Nice, Mega Gargant. That's cool. I've got a small orc force. I haven't finished the boys yet. They're really going slow. But I finished the Dreadnought and some knobs and the leader for the knobs as well. I think I got all that finished before the Beast Snaggers all came out, which shows how long it's been since I pardon me, finished anything orc-wise. I haven't really picked a clan to go for. I just went for sort of generic orcs. So everything is lots of earth tones. Just sort of black, grey, red, brown, yellow, that sort of thing. So grab a couple more for you. Yeah, I quite like the idea of doing them as freebooters. I thought about the idea of having Gazkol be just like a giant mech with the captain, as it were, riding on top of it, and with like a crow's nest and rigging full of grots, that sort of thing. Hoping we get a new version of that freebooter captain, Bagguts? I can't remember the name of the character, but the one with the really cool hat. That's the only problem with having models on display out on just a shelf. I get spider webs all over them. obviously no grenades on him to do green, so that's okay. Don't think... No, none of them have got helmets so far, so that's okay. Yeah, I think just Pirate Orcs is quite a cool concept. I think it's one of the funnier things from Games Workshop. I always really liked the old Blood Axe Commandos. I had some of the old Blood Axe Commandos when they were a metal kit back in like 2nd edition, and they had like little beanie hats because they're supposed to look like, you know, army commandos and stuff, and they were always painted bright red. I've been on a bit of a nostalgia trip recently. I'd quite like to get my hands on some of the old 2nd edition models, but they're so expensive. Thanks. Yeah, it's I like the Contemptor Dreadnought. It's a nice kit. I prefer the resin ones, but the plastic one's nice just because of, you know, the price and having all the weapons. I need to do a second one for this army, who will be walking up some stairs. That was the plan. Now, what colour? Oh, that's not good. We've got an orc down. And he's safe. Right. Hi, Bob. How you doing? Use this one. So I clearly put far too much green paint on my palette. So the funny thing is, you can actually paint orcs with, pardon me, just 3 colours. Green, 4 colours technically. Green, red, white and metal. Because when you mix green and red together, especially a bright green like this, you get dark greens, and you can take it down even to browns, which means you can do all of your leathers, you can do shading your skin, you can do camouflage with it, and if you've got white, you can then brighten the brown up, you can brighten the white up, you can brighten the red up. So yeah, it is possible to paint orcs with little as 4 colours. Sorry, 3 colours. That was a little trick I learnt what feels like a million years ago. How's your evening going then, Bob? That well, eh? Yeah, I mean, if you can paint orcs with those 3 colours, really you can go anywhere from that. If you just add black, you can add, you know, depth. You can add they're called checkers, that sort of thing. You know, even if you've got just those few colours, freehand completely changes it. textures change it. You know, things like cross-hatching, pointillism. You know, if you can actually, you can paint in the texture of the material that you're working on can be just as different as the colour you're painting it. Yeah, Orcs are one of those armies that are just really great to practice on, because generally nothing goes wrong with them. You know, if it does, you can paint over it really easily. It doesn't matter if you paint things too thick, because Orcs aren't exactly going to care about too thin coats when they're painting their equipment. Yeah, no, I would say Orcs are probably the best second army anyone could ever get into. Although I know people who have collected Orcs since the 90s and they've never collected anything else. And they're not half as weird as the guy I know who's collected literally every single possible combination of Eldar models. That guy's a real weirdo. Crack grenades are always painted red, because red ones kill tanks faster. Yeah, Orcs are great. I am surprised they've not had more releases in the last couple of years. They got that big release with all the trucks and stuff, and then they got the Beast Snaggers stuff. But honestly, I thought after the Beast Snaggers came out, they'd get something more, but I guess not. They haven't even had an updated version of the boys kit. They've just got that really easy to build one, which is a bit weird. This is weird. I've got 3 versions of this in view. I'm watching it on YouTube. I've got it on my 2 screens, and they're all slightly out of sync with each other, and it's really confusing me to look at. That one's definitely the worst. So the real question is, do I just keep the bolter casings black, or do I do them red? Yeah, the boys box needs to be redone, and it needs to take a leaf out of the heresy box. Boys should come in boxes of 20. You should do a shooter boys and a chopper boys set, and just do them just slightly different. Have enough parts to do them all armoured or kind of unarmoured. So if I want to do like snake bites or whatever, I can give them helmets and all that if I want. Bump the camera. slopping this on a bit thick. So, Bob, what is it what are you working on at the moment then? Anything interesting? Yeah, I'll leave the casings black, Frog. That's probably the best shout. So it looks like we're getting the Loyalist Legion Champion coming out next week, which is good. Yet another overpriced 412 model. Hi, Michael. Cool. A Prussian Knight / Huntsman style kill team. That's interesting. Black Templars and Howling Griffins is always good as well. I will get round to finishing these Howling Griffins at some point. I'm debating whether or not to order some decals and wait for them. But I may not because I'm impatient. Plus, if I get a whole sheet of decals, I'm going to end up wanting to do enough models to use them all. A couple of them fell off the bottle tops I used for them, and I don't know where my super glue is, so I can't stick them back onto. And the shop that I buy my super glue from has decided it's going to start closing all its stores, which is really handy. So I'm going to have to find a different supplier of super glue to use, because they do them in these little pens that I quite like. See any? No? Good. Yeah, I mean that's what I used to use. These their cook was from Wilco's, which are, if you don't know, it's a chain shop here in the UK, and they're about £1, and it's a stick about this big, which were really useful because they were quite precise in where you put the super glue. I'm awful with super glue, by the way. Almost every single piece of clothing I own has dried super glue on it. There isn't anywhere on that one. Yeah, favourite t-shirts, jeans, work shirts, all sorts. All got super glue on them. I've even managed to get super glue on my teeth before, which is a really nasty sensation. And the worst one was the pot once popped and it splashed up in my face, and I thought I'd got it in my eye. Actually, I just managed to get it on my eyelash, which was a harrowing few seconds, to tell the least. I had to redo the gold on these because it's all awful. In fact, I think that's what I'm going to do now. Let me dig out a Retributor armour from somewhere. I have about 8 of them, because when the Imperium, I think it was, magazine, the first time it came out, this came with the first issue, and everyone I know bought just multiples of the first issue. Yeah, it was not nice. I had to pull a giant clump of my eyelashes out. I had a very weird looking eye for several weeks. Unfortunately, I'm incredibly clumsy. Sorry if it's out of focus, guys. It's just a bit of a pain to get everything in the right place where I can see it and you can see it. Don't often like doing the gold before I do the oils. For this very reason, is it dulls the oils down a lot. Makes them look very dull and dirty. Which, for gold, is not something I want. And I keep touching it, which is why I normally have them on bottle tops and things. What's my next project going to be? Ooh. That I'm not entirely sure about. I have several armies I'm working on at the moment. And several of them have got units that are work in progress. I think possibly I'm going to focus on my Thousand Suns for a little bit. I have decided that I'm not going to work on my Imperial Fists for a while. I think there's too much Imperial Fist stuff out there. And, you know, other legions need recognition. They need more, like, limelight. And, you know, because I like those legions, I think it's important that I go out there and I publicise them as much as possible. You know, just let people see that actually there are people who do collect these armies. It's not all just Imperial Fists and Sons of Horus. Despite me having both of those armies. I've got the tank for my Raven Guard to do. I've got a box of Mark III Marines under my desk. I've got a big plastic IKEA box that I just put all my sprues and bits in. So I might do those as some, I don't know, what, a heavy weapon squad for my Thousand Suns, maybe? Other than that, what was the plan? There was the heavy Galvorback themed word bearers that was voted for in a poll. So that's going to be a Furies of the Ancient list, but all sort of corrupted dreadnoughts and lots of Galvorback. Which unfortunately, even from China, is quite an expensive army to do. Galvorback cost a lot no matter where you get them from, apparently. The Air Assault Black Templar Imperial Fists are on the back burner for a while because Storm Eagles cost a fortune, and I really don't want to deal with the resin ones, so I'm going to wait till those come out in plastic. Don't know. My big thing is I think the big project's going to be display space, as I'm rapidly running out of it. How about yourself? What's your next project going to be? Gold trimmer's a pain in the backside no matter what millennium you're in. Yeah, there's one without stuff on his head. So we need to do this. True scale Black Templars. That's cool. That's cool. Using GW models, or are you gonna chop them up and space them out, or are you using something like Tortuga? Nice, nice. More Raven Guard. Unfortunately, all my Raven Guard, apart from the Dreadnought, is all in a box at the moment because I don't have any display space for them. So they're just sat in a KR case at the moment, which is a little disappointing. 3D prints, nice, nice. So what 3D prints are you going to use, Rob? Are you going to go something like Fumble Finger or something like Logic A? Hellforge. Good choice, good choice. There's so many options out there nowadays. Oh well, if you know where to look, you can still find pretty much everything that's ever been taken down. Discord is a magical place full of magical people with lots of hard drive space. Oh. So I ordered some 3D printed stuff and it still hasn't arrived, and it's now been 40 days exactly? No, 39 days. 39 days since I paid for it, and they've resent it out twice as far as I know, and it still failed to get here. And I do not live in the sticks. I live about 40 minutes away from London. So yeah, they've basically got to the end of this week to do something rather spectacular, or I will get my money back, and I will still make my review, and the review video will not be nice. Which is not something I want to do. Gold trim is the worst. Yeah, happy with that, I suppose. Oh, I need a brown wash. There's a brown wash. Yeah, talking about clumsy, you can see the amount of super glue I've spilled on this. Yeah, that was really clever. Hi, Peter. Not quite Novas. 90th chapter of the Ultramarines in the Heresy. Who would be going on to found the Nova Marines. I've always got to find something more interesting to do with my projects. I struggle to just do the basic stuff. That's probably why I never did a second edition style Ultramarines army. I do have a normal Ultramarines army, they're just more weathered than this. And every single one of them is different. There's no single colour scheme for them. They're all slightly different, all got their own personal heraldry. Each one's a character in my eyes. Yeah, they were nicknamed the Novas, but they were the 90th chapter of the Ultramarines, so they were just Ultramarines, which is why they've all got just Ultramarines heraldry on them. None of them have the Nova Marine heraldry. The only person that will is going to be Lucretius Corvo, who is the Praetor for the chapter master, and he is the one that goes on to found the Nova Marines. And incidentally is one of the men who helps get Guilliman off of Fulgrim's ship when he gets stabbed. It's the Nova Marines and I believe the Marines Aaron? Might be wrong, I think they might be a later founding. But it's definitely Nova Marines. Yeah, there's always lots and lots of history and interesting characters and interesting groups you can do in the Heresy. It's not all just the same 18 legions all painted in the exact same way. One of my favourite stories is the 18 or so Blood Angels who were left on Baal when Sanguinius and the Legion went off to, I think it was Cygnus Prime, and they ended up fighting the demons, and they thought Sanguinius was dead, and they got told by Talus Rubio, that hey, Horus has betrayed everyone, the war's happened, everything's gone to pot, and they're like, oh well, Sanguinius is dead. So they painted their armour like this and were like, hey, we're going to go off and kill Horus. We'll see you later. And that was it. 18 guys. Nothing special. Literally just 18 guys in the company of death, as they refer to themselves, went off to try and kill Horus. So, yeah, you go, girls. I've also got these guys to finish. Bunch of Sons of Horus veterans. This one's my favourite, with this combat grenade launcher. I need to get around to finishing their bases as well, but those are all done with an airbrush. Right, let's do. Was it this brown? Or was it a darker brown? I can't remember. Let's try them both. It's quite a brown grey. This one is very red. I'll try this one then. Not similar tone to Rack Flesh, which is the one I like to use, but it will do. Alright, Frog, catch you later. Thanks for watching. I do like the toes on these Mark 6 Marines, but I do prefer the older style ones where they're thinner. I think they just look kind of like sandals. I quite like that aesthetic design. Chipping's a really easy way to add some depth and some interesting weathering to a model. But the most important thing to remember about it is where is the chipping got to go? Because just slapping it on randomly doesn't make sense. Like, there's no point having it in certain areas. The edges of these plates are really great for doing it because that's where stuff's going to be hitting it. They're going to be scraping it along the ground. The edges of any of these inlaid panels, for example, will also be good places because something might get stuck in there and scratch it. But like somewhere up here, not so much. Maybe not, but not heavily. The funny thing is that Mark 6 Marines are supposed to be the stealthiest ones. According to the law, a Space Marine is supposed to be able to run at a full sprint completely silently in Mark 6 plate. That's how stealthy the servo motors are in it. But these are solid piece shin guards. And anyone who's ever played cricket will tell you there ain't no way in hell you're going to be able to run without making a hell of a lot of noise and looking like a complete wally in those things. Doesn't show up so great against the red, unfortunately. But it's fine because I'll be going over it with silver. Oh, bumping the camera yet again. Still not entirely sure what colour to do these guys' bases either. Probably a grey. Oh, bit too thick. So, do you know some interesting chapters? Do I know some interesting chapters? Okay, let's see. The Vorpal Swords, who got sent on a crusade into the Eye of Terror because they were suspected of being traitors, only to re-emerge centuries later and go, actually the guy who sent us here was a traitor. They were the only one out of like 300 chapters who survived that. The Relictors, a Marine chapter who found out that Chaos Relics were really powerful at killing Chaos and were wiped out by the Grey Knights because they started collecting them to do it. The Yellow Jackets, who were a competition winner for a character design competition and were apparently active during the Horus Heresy despite being a second founding chapter, who wore black and yellow. The Celestial Lions, a chapter who was almost wiped out to a man by the Inquisition because they questioned the Inquisition's methods and the killing of civilians, and unfortunately didn't have the plot armour of the Space Wolves, who did the same. The Black Dragons, a 13th, I think, founding chapter, who are one of the cursed founding chapters and have bone-like protrusions sticking out of their arms, which they use in combat. Ooh. I'm trying to think of anyone else that's just not like really obvious. The Marines Errant, who have specialised boarding bolters for fighting in ships. The Storm Wardens, who fought, I think it was the Enslavers. They fought someone that basically would take over their minds and if they were allowed to live. So they exterminated an entire sector to clear out the infestation, but it's believed that the company that was there was also infected. So rather than wipe themselves out, they put an entire company into stasis just to be woken up when they're desperately needed. Hi Internet Man, I am up to about level 7 at the moment. I'm just painting some chipping, some damage onto some Howling Griffins at the moment, and listing off obscure Space Marine chapters I know. I think keeping it a little bit less is going to be better for these guys. Don't want to go as heavy as I do with, say, my Imperial Fists. Do better. So yeah, that's just some interesting chapters, Bob. There's lots of them out there. Soul Drinkers, that's another really good one. Chapter was led by a librarian with spider legs. The Rainbow Warriors. I actually submitted a short story to the Black Library short story submission about the Rainbow Warriors. So there was no way on earth I was ever going to get that selected. But I came up with the idea. Well, I didn't come up with the idea. But there's a fan idea that the Rainbow Warriors are like a Mesoamerican, sort of South American amalgamation of all of those sort of cultures. And I kind of did a Black Templars thing with them where they had initiates and like neophytes in their squads, but it wasn't like scouts like the Black Templars. It was Firstborn Marines and Primaris, and they respected the Firstborn Marines who had not taken the journey, as they call it, because it was a personal choice for them, and it was all about them trying to evacuate a bunch of civilians from a hive world being attacked by the Tau. So, Internet Man, what are you up to? Not a lot, apparently. Nice, Astral Claws. Avoid taxes, do crimes. My man Huron did absolutely nothing wrong. You should all avoid paying taxes as much as possible. I think I did, but I think it was on. I think I popped it up on Bolter and Chainsword a while back, but whether or not it's still up there, I doubt it. They archive a lot of their stuff. It also wasn't very good by the time I finished with it. I wrote it out like naturally as I write a lot of my stuff, just as it comes to me. And the brief from GW was like 1,000 words, and after about 20 minutes of writing, I was sat on 5,500 words, and I had to gut it, and it just was no good by the time I'd got it down to the 1,000 words. Which kind of sucks. But if I ever got the chance, that's what I would definitely push to do as a writer at Black Library, would be to do a Rainbow Warriors Arm like story. Had them as a White Scar successor. I got some of those, some of the old Terminators a while back, Internet Man, and the flash and the mould lines on them was just awful. Like, they've really not aged well. Yes, you should finish it. You should definitely finish your Rainbow Warrior. Oh, it's very warm in here. I've never used one of those mold scraping tools. I've thought about getting one, but they're so expensive for what they are. And I just use a knife instead. These guys, yes, these are Ultramarines. Yeah, definitely a knife more useful. You know, you can cut away at things. Um, they're handy if there needs to be cake, or if someone needs to be stabbed. And as someone who has been stabbed on multiple occasions, I would have much rather had a mould scraper the first time. I'll tell you that for nothing. Nope, no license. Actually, where is my knife? Ah, there it is. I haven't got a license for that one. Don't need it. But yeah, first time I got stabbed, I stabbed myself in the leg by accident while making models. Very stupid mistake. Second time I actually got stabbed during a night out. Yeah, it's an interesting tool, and if they're made from good quality materials, they can be really good. But it's GW, so they're going to cut corners wherever they can. I'm looking forward to Nova, though, to see what we get for the Heresy. It'd be nice to know if we actually are getting a box set or if it's just going to be individual kit releases. Oh, this is so boring. I'm going to step it up and find a bit of foam to use so I can sponge it on. Where did I put my foam? I had loads of it lying around. Looks like I've cleaned it all up, that's no use. There we go. That'll do. Hiding under the scope mount for an M14. Yeah, if it's a full box set, like the AOD one, it's going to be, pretty good, and I'll get at least one. Although if it is what's in that image and what's rumored, I know it sounds silly, but I might end up getting 3 of them. I've got plans for armies, and three of these armies all require Land Raiders. The Mark III Marines I can fit into any army. The Deirdre Dreadnought, I know I want at least I want at least two of them. Well, yeah, at least one, if not more. I don't go drinking anymore, so I don't go out or anything. So generally, my expenses, apart from my ridiculous power bill, are pretty, on point. I generally don't buy games brand new, like video games. I don't buy them at release. I always wait until they're on sale. So yeah, 40k stuff, or Space Marines are basically my biggest expense, hobby-wise. And I will usually splurge big once or twice during the year, and then just spend the rest of the year building that. I don't generally buy stuff at release. You don't see me buying, boxes and boxes and stacking them up and taking photos of them. I've got a Death Guard army that I've been planning to do since the plastic jet bikes were announced, and I've just never got around to ordering any of those. But yeah, totally done wrong, Death Guard. It's jet bike Death Guard. At the Siege of Terror, so they're all fat and bloaty, but on jet bikes and speeders. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we've just got the old troop guide to do. Oh. Seriously, save all the foam if you get any packing, what they called, hard cases. The pluck and play foam or pluck and place foam stuff is the best. No. Yeah, so I've got armies that are planning to add Deirdre Dreadnoughts to. So I want to add one to my Thousand Suns. I've had an idea for a conversion for that for quite some time, but just never really found it in my budget to buy one of those in resin recently. And I'd like to add one to my Blood Angels as well. So adding a third one to another army, that's not too much of a stretch. Someone maybe like my Raven Guard, because they're my heavy support army. And then Night Lords need a Land Raider. Actually, I think the list I put together had 2 Land Raiders in there for them. And I'd like to add another Land Raider to my Sons of Horus. And there was a Land Raider to be added to my Iron Hands. The other thing I need to do to my Land Raider is add one of the Knight... not Atropos, is it Atropos? The Lancer Knight, whatever the new one is. Because that was going to be my Lord of War choice. And then people voted and made me get a Cerberus for that army as well. So now I've got choices. But yeah, he'll be the Tin Man to the Cowardly Lion that is the commander of my Night Lords, and then I need to figure out who's going to be the Scarecrow. So that could be the Deirdre Dreadnought. Yeah, I've got Slavic folklore and the Wizard of Oz are the two themes for my Night Lords. I like having themes for my armies, you know, I think it's important. Keeps things interesting, keeps them fresh. That and limits. Things that restrict you, so you've got to be creative. That's not too bad. Yeah, Internet Man. I might even pick up another AOD box as well before they go out of production. They're just too good value to me. I don't need another Spartan, but I can find space for a Spartan somewhere. That would be pretty cool. I do like the old Visions of Heresy. It's one of the best books they've ever done. But yeah, so if we do get the Mark III this week, expect another 18 weeks of 36 weeks of head upgrades and shoulder pad upgrades. Which is going to be kind of boring. But better than epic, I suppose. Oh, it's warm. I've got the windows open, I've got a fan blaring, I've got plenty of water, and I am still overheating. And I'm in shorts. Why must I say so? Because I am the arbiter of truth, unfortunately, or the harbinger of truth. Sad truth. To be fair, I'd be happy with it. I'd be happy with, a couple of weeks of head and shoulder pads. Although, if they're smart, they will have learnt from it and go and bundle them up. Doing them in head, at minimum, head and shoulder pads at the same time. If not doing pairs, so one traitor, one loyalist. Because if you show them off one at a time, it's just going to take too long. People are going to get worn out and bored. Which is understandable because, it's basically everything we've already seen. Unless they got some really radical new designs. That being said, I think the Space Wolfie heads have completely disappeared now from the web store. Which means they could be up for a resculpt. Which hilariously means if you do have some of them, hold on to them because they could be worth a fortune in the future. We'll probably get resin breacher upgrades as well, rather than a plastic kit. Which is going to suck. Oh, it's half past midnight. I will probably call it very shortly, guys. It's always nice to have you guys come along and watch. I just wish I could schedule these things a little better for you. I know some people have got prior commitments that they can't tune in and they want to. But it's a bank holiday here, so I may do tomorrow as well. Or technically today, because it is past midnight. do like these bolters. These heavy bolters look great. Yeah. I won't be up watching the stream. Unfortunately, I've got work this week, so I'll do a recap, I suppose, when it's all out. But I'm sure people like Valrak will have live streams on it. So, always I'm going to be late to the party for that one, unfortunately. But don't worry, I will make sure my sulky, sad, depressing, apparently overly long, getting to the point videos are up and about for you. I did think that was quite funny reading some of those comments. I'm like, the title is "Please Make It Stop, Games Workshop." I mean, you didn't expect me to be happy, did you? Also, you clicked on a long form. You clicked on a long form YouTube video. Did you expect it to be 60 seconds long? No, it's going to be at least 10 minutes. Otherwise, nothing ever happens to the video. If you don't make the video 10 minutes long, at least it just disappears. Done it before. Those videos get under 100 views. And sadly, when you're a small channel, views are important. I did think it was quite funny. I logged into Social Blade the other day, which is a website used to track the impact of like your channel, and it said, "Oh, breakfast with Bando. This channel has made an approximate $327." Really? Where the hell was that going? Because it hasn't come to me. Oh yeah, the old Tiberius the Red Wake style Terminators look good. This guy's got a Mark IV helmet in him. It doesn't look great, but it doesn't look awful. But I've got to say, my favourite still has to be the Indomitus Bulldog helmet. Ooh. Which looks really good in Dreadnoughts as well, by the way. Oh, that silver really does stand out against the green. That's nice. careful about that because it does stand out quite well. Keep it to a minimum on this guy. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Can't forget to do the stuff on the ground. So you read something this week? Not what do you mean? Do I read something this week? I'll be doing a video this week when the Nova updates come out. Definitely. And then I'll we are apparently getting Heresy Thursday this week as well. So I'm hoping that's either going to be something different, or if it's not, it's going to be a more in-depth look at whatever they show off on Nova. I believe Heresy's probably been on the Wednesday. Other than that, yeah, that's pretty much that's my week planned. So got those guys done. I will do the metal on their weapons at some point this week. Same with these guys. They'll all get their metals, all the silvers done. Hopefully I'll be able to get the bases done for them as well. Actually, I don't even know if I've got enough. I need to get some more of these, the old Sector Mechanicus bases, which you can't generally get from China. So yeah, okay guys. Thank you very much for watching. It's been nearly 2 hours. I do appreciate you coming along. Drop a comment on this video if you're watching it later in the game. If not, feel free to stick a comment anywhere if you've got any questions. Doesn't matter what they are, I'm always happy to answer them. Thanks for coming along. My name is Bando. This has been Bando's Messy Desk, or Messy Stream at least.